All right. Perfect. So again, for the new entrants, you are joining the webinar, Mystifying the College Process. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we have already gone through the housekeeping rules. Just make sure that your lines are all muted, and if you have any questions, put them into the chat window. All right. So you have 3 hosts with you today. You will hear 2 of them, and the third one, my co-founder, Bhavna Katiyar, we have given her a very exciting job, that is to just shut her mouth and help you all right? So about me, my name is Neelam Chakpari. I am the co-founder and CEO of Arula. And like many of you, I am a stay-at-home working mom. A few years ago, I was office-going working mom, and I moved into this area 2 years ago into the public school system, and I realized there were so many challenges between parent collaboration and information and so many other things. And it was not just me; it was so many other parents facing the same problem. And so I decided to kind of come up with a solution, and that's what Arula is today. I have 2 kids. Both of them are high schoolers. They go to Mission San Jose High School in Fremont. I have a junior son, and I have a freshman daughter. I also have an illiterate but an extremely smart multi-scooter. His name is Snowy, who is just sitting next to me. So if you hear some sounds, know that he's just, cheering me up. All right, so enough about me. I'm going to hand over the control to Kristen Hickman. Kristen is our college expert, and I will let her introduce herself to you. All right, so Kristen, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kristen Hickman. I'm an independent college counselor, and just a little bit of background on me. I have a master's in counseling from University of San Francisco, my bachelor's in psychology from University of Portland, and I completed my professional certification in college admissions and career planning. And so today I'm here to talk to all of you about the process for applying to college.
Hey, Kristen, are you sharing your screen?
I don't have anything that's letting me share. Let's see.
I am not sure what all the problems are about. Okay. All right. You are at the last slide. Okay. You can see your screen now.
You can see my screen, everyone? Okay.
Yeah, so just put it in presenter mode.
All right. There we go. All right. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. So I've broken this process down into 6 categories. So we have college preparation, and I'll talk about what should be done sophomore, junior, and senior year. Then we have college applications, and I'm going to go through 3 types of applications. We have the exams, so those are the SATs, ACTs, and AP exams. Essays, so 2 college applications require essays to be submitted, so I will go through that and give you some tips. Then we have financial aid, and finally resources. And this will be basically where to go to get your questions answered and receive support as you go through this process with your students. All right, so let's start with college prep, and I like to begin with the A through G requirements. So these are the requirements that must be met if your student plans to apply to a CSU or a UC. And as you can see, this is broken out by subject and the number of years that your student has to take this subject. So for example, we have history, and they have to do 2 years of history. I really want to point out here the requirements C, D, and E. So this is math, lab science, and foreign language. So for these 3, you have a required number of years, and then you also have a recommended number of years. And I highly suggest that your student goes with the recommended number of years as opposed to the required. And I would say they should especially do the recommended number of years if their major would require this type of coursework. So for example, if your student is planning on majoring in computer science, math is a really important piece of that. So they really should be doing the 4 years of math at the high school level. If for any reason your student is not doing well in one of these subjects, maybe foreign language just is really not their thing, they're struggling, they're getting a C, then I would just stick with what is required, the 2 years. With the A through Gs, I also want to point out that students must receive a grade of C or better in order for it to count for them to apply to the CSUs or the UCs. All right, more coursework. So if your student is in high school, you've probably come across this, AP, which is Advanced Placement, or honors classes. So these classes that are offered will vary by high school. The subjects that they're offered in will vary, and the amount of AP or honors classes will vary, but you'll typically see these offered in math, history, science, English, and foreign language. If your student is in an AP or honors class, they need to do well, and that basically means getting an A, especially if this is an area that they are going to study in college. So back to that example of the computer science major, if that student's in an AP calculus class, they really need to get an A in that class. And then GPA. So this is where you will see students that get a GPA that is above a 4.0. Students have 4.2, 4.5. So by taking and completing an AP course, students receive an extra point when their GPA is being calculated. Now, other courses that may come into play would be at the college level or online classes. And so I just want to put out here that if your student is taking a college level course or an online course, and if they are taking it for a grade, that these classes and the grade must be reported to the colleges when they apply. So that's, an important piece when it comes to submitting transcripts. If they took a course at a community college, that needs to go along as well when they apply. So a couple of reasons why a student may take a community college course or an online course would be if the high school doesn't offer it, and that does happen. So that's where you may want to look to the college or online classes. And also if there's a conflict. So perhaps AP history and trigonometry are only offered during third period, and your student cannot possibly be at 2 places at once. So they make the decision to do maybe that AP history course at the high school, and then they enroll into the trigonometry class at their local community college. So if this is something that you need to do or you're considering doing, I would highly recommend that the student talks to their guidance counselor. The guidance counselor knows how this works, and they can really walk them through the process and make sure that everything is lined up for them. All right, let's start breaking it down by year. So I start with the sophomore year, and this is when testing starts to come into play. So if you have a sophomore, they may be looking at taking that PSAT test so they can get an idea of, what the SAT is going to be like, and if there's any area that they may need to beef up on. And then there are also the AP exams, and a student can take an AP exam at the end of the year only if they've been enrolled in an AP class during that year. So extracurriculars, this is really important, and if the student has not already decided what they want to participate in, by sophomore year, they should have this figured out, and not only what do they want to participate in, but something that they want to participate in through the end of senior year, because they want to show a prolonged commitment to this. So this is sort of laying the groundwork for sophomore year, because junior year, there is a lot that will be going on. So starting junior year, this student will be starting their college and career exploration. And so I have 2 websites here that I find very helpful in getting that student to start thinking about all this. So the first one is College Board, and the actual website is bigfuture.collegeboard.org. And what this does is that it allows anyone, the student, to go online, type in the name of the college or university that they're interested in, and it will give them a whole bunch of information on that school. It will tell them the size of the school. Is it small or medium or large? How many undergrad students they have, how many graduate students they have, the coursework that would be required to apply to this school. It will also tell them things like what the average GPA and test scores were for that freshman class that just entered. And then the other website I have down is My Plan, and I think this is a great site for career exploration. This can be really difficult for high school students to figure out what they want to study in college, what type of career path they see for themselves. And so with this site, you can be very specific. You can type in elementary school teacher, or you can be very broad. Maybe they love marketing, but they don't know what that career would look like. So you type that in, and it will pull up, if it's general like marketing, it will pull up a whole list of career titles. And you click on that title, it'll provide job descriptions, requirements to hold that type of job, what a potential salary looks like. And then one feature that I really love is it also will show what majors you would want to look at in college that would lead into that career. And then testing. Testing is a big thing for juniors. So we have the PSAT again. So if your student didn't take the PSAT sophomore year, I would highly suggest that they look at doing that now in the fall of their junior year, because in the spring and summer, the SAT and the ACT tests will be offered. SAT subject tests will also come up, and then we have the AP exams. So if your student was in an AP course, looking at taking that AP exam at the end of the year. And I will get into more details on testing as we go through. Now, the A through G requirements, these come back up, and by now, 11 of the 15 courses must be completed by the end of the student's junior year. And extracurricular. So this is why it's so important that they've identified what they want to participate in, because by junior year, if this hasn't happened yet, they really need to start showing leadership in that extracurricular activity. And this can look different depending on what your student is involved in. So if they're on the tennis team, maybe they're captain of their varsity tennis team. Maybe they're a member of Key Club, and so they chair the annual Key Club Luau, or they're in Spanish Club and they're president of Spanish Club. So those are some of the things for junior year. And because there's no rest during the summer, I highly suggest that summer between their junior and senior year that the student starts working on their college essay. And I'll talk more about this. As I mentioned, there are 2 applications that do require essays. So I feel that the summer is a great time for juniors to start creating rough drafts, brainstorming, starting to really get their ideas down on paper. So when it comes time to apply to the colleges in the fall of senior year, they're ready to go, that they've done a lot of work. And then the other thing I suggest that goes on during the summer between junior and senior year is touring the college campuses. This is a great way for students to get a feeling of what it would be like to attend school there. Most colleges, you can just go online and sign up for the tours. And then just a little word of advice for colleges, the CSUs and UCs that are here in the Bay Area, I have found that those tours, they book up quickly. So plan ahead as best that you can. And I've also run into with one of our local UCs where they actually didn't have enough staff to do tours, so they just stopped offering the tours. And this is at the beginning of November last year. So try and plan ahead as best you can. And I know it's not possible to always go and tour a college, especially if your student is looking at attending a school that's out of state. So I recommend this website, universitytv.com, and it's short videos on a whole bunch of colleges out there. And what they do is they will show the campus, they'll interview students and professors, and so this is, I think, a nice way for students to get more of a well-rounded picture of a school that they're looking at. So if you can't go there in person, check out the universitytv.com. All right, senior year. Senior year I've broken out into the fall and then into the winter. So the fall, that's where we are right now, and these students are applying to college. And I suggest that seniors have a list of at least 8 to 10 colleges that they are looking at applying to. And I like to break that out into 3 categories. So we have reach, target, and likely. So a reach category would be where the student's GPA and test scores are lower than what the school's expectations are. A target would be where the student has a 50-50 chance. Their GPA and test scores are right in line with what the school's expectations are. And then likely, and this is where that student would have a high probability of acceptance based on their GPA and test scores. So here the student's GPA and test scores are above what the school's expectations would be. And with this, I like to take an approach of a 2-4-2. So if you break it out with 2 reach schools, 4 target, and 2 likely, I find that that's usually a good mix. Testing comes back into play here. So if your student did not do the test junior year, or if they just want one more shot at trying to get a better score, this is the final chance with the SAT and ACT, and then, of course, the writing the essays. So hopefully during the summer they did a lot of prep work and they're really ready to go, so they're just fine-tuning their essays at this point. Then we have senior year in winter and spring. So this is where you start focusing on things now like financial aid, applying for scholarships. Acceptance letters start coming back in, and the student needs to figure out which school they ultimately want to go to in the fall, and then more testing. But now it's just AP exams. So if your student was in that AP course, taking the AP exam at the end of the year. And then for any student that applied to and was accepted into one of the CSUs, there are placement tests that need to be taken for English and math. Now, a student can be exempt from taking these placement tests, and that would be based on what their SAT or ACT score was. And if they are exempt, the CSU will reach out to that student and let them know that they do not have to do the placement test. And then just one last piece of advice that I want to put out there. Grades and the courses do matter senior year. This is important. Seniors by no means should slack off. Colleges will pull acceptances if they see that a student is failing courses. So senior year is very, very important. All right, let's talk about college applications. And I've broken this down into 3 types of applications. So we have the UCs, the CSUs, and then what's known as the Common Application or Common App. And the Common App is used at over 500 private and out-of-state schools. So what this chart is showing is basically what a student needs to do depending on what application they're using. So all 3 require an application, and all 3 will require test scores. Letter of recommendation, this is only required for the Common App, and this will vary based on what school the student is applying to. Some schools just want 1 letter of recommendation, some want multiple, some will say it has to come from the guidance counselor, some will say it can come from whoever you want it to come from. So it's important to educate yourself on what that school is looking for when it comes to letter of recommendation. Essays, The UCs require essays, and the Common App will require essays, and I will go into that in more detail a little later. For transcripts, so what this is saying is that at the time of applying with the Common App, the student must submit their transcript. Students will still have to provide a transcript for the UCs and CSUs, but they do not have to do it at the time of application. Activities, so these are all the extracurriculars that the student's doing. UCs want to know about them, and the Common App wants to know about it as well. And then we have what is called a secondary school report, and this only applies for the Common App. And there's really nothing that your student would need to do here. The secondary school report, it's completed by your guidance counselor, and it'll vary by school on what's asked, but it's pretty basic things like it's just confirming the student's GPA. They want to know what the student's class rank is. They want to know, what the size of the senior class is at that high school, how many AP or honors courses are offered, basic things like that. Now, another thing I think is very important to know and understand is the approximate time to complete these applications. So if your student is applying to a UC, whether it's one or all 10, it takes about 8 hours for them to get through this application process. The CSUs, whether it's one or all 23 of them, will take about an hour. And the Common App, this one takes the most time. You're looking at 4 to 5 hours per school to complete the Common App. So just keep this in mind as your student is compiling their college list. This can really eat into their time. All right, so let's break this down a little more for applying. So we have the UCs and the CSUs. So online accounts are created. I have the website there where the student would go to create their online account. And the application window for the UCs, it'll be opening soon. It's the month of November. It opens on November 1st, closes on the 30th. For the CSUs, that is open right now. It started October 1st, and it will close on November 30th. Word of advice to the students, do not wait until the last day. Things happen, systems crash, and colleges do not care. So do not wait until the last day to apply. And then let's talk about the Common App. So again, online account is created. There's the link to the website right there where it goes to, over 500 colleges and universities that use this. And because they're all different, their deadlines will vary. So again, it's important to make sure you and the student are aware of what the different deadlines are for each school. And then not in the above categories, because of course everything can't fit perfectly into those 3 boxes. There are schools such as Georgetown, University of Arizona that don't use any of those. They have their own system for applying. So again, educate yourself so you know what needs to happen. Okay, exams. Exams are a big part of this. So the 2 college entrance exams, we have the SAT and the ACT. These are accepted by the UCs, the CSUs, and almost all the private colleges. Going to the college's websites, they will tell you exactly what tests they want. For SAT, that perfect score is a 2400, and students are tested in 3 areas: critical reasoning, math, and writing. On the ACT, that perfect score is a 36, and students are tested in 4 areas: English, reading, math, and science. There are websites there for registering. Registration also is done at the high school as well. And then just to note, at the bottom that for most schools, freshman applicants, they have to send in their scores by December, which is again why, senior year in the fall, that's kind of the last hurrah for a student to take one of these tests. All right, PSAT and SAT subject tests. So the PSAT, it's the preliminary standardized test. this just gives the students a good idea as to what that SAT is going to look like when they take it, gives them some practice, helps them see, if there's any areas that they need to improve upon. Register through the high school and test it on those 3 areas: math, critical reading, and writing. SAT subject tests. These are rather new. There are 20 tests that are in 5 general areas: English, history, foreign languages, math, and science. So these tests may be required or recommended as part of the application process for some schools. And a reason why a student may want to take this is that it would just show what their strength is in a certain subject area, sort of like an AP test. So going back to that computer science major example, if your student is going to major in computer science, they may want to look at taking that SAT subject test in math, because it just shows the colleges, how strong they are in that subject area. And then just to find more information, we have the College Board link there, and also Khan Academy. This is great, I think. Khan Academy partnered with College Board. They put together some wonderful free test prep for students. So by going to khanacademy.org, students can go through these tests at their leisure. It's completely free, so I would recommend checking that out. All right, AP tests. So AP, we talked about that earlier. So if the student was enrolled in and completed an AP class, then they can sit for that AP test. These are offered in more than 30 subject areas, and the exams are typically given those first 2 weeks of May. And another link there that you can go to just to get more information on AP tests. All right, let's talk about essays. So as you saw earlier, UCs and Common App, they require essays as part of their application process. So for the UCs, they have 2 prompts, which is basically 2 essays. These prompts have not changed for a few years now. You can, go online and see exactly what they are. The combined word count for these 2 prompts cannot exceed 1,000 words. It's at the student's discretion how they want to break it up. They can do a 50-50. They can have one essay be 250 words. They can have the other one be 750. It's up to them. Then you have the Common App. So this is the application that's used for privates and out-of-state. And they provide a student with 5 prompts, and that student needs to choose one that they want to write about. So often when I'm working with a student who needs to write the essay, to get them started, this is where I begin. And I usually ask them to pick 3 to 5 defining qualities or characteristics. How do they define themselves? How would a friend or family member describe them? And then once they have 3 to 5 qualities picked out, I want them to identify experiences where these qualities were developed or displayed or tested. And then once they have some more information that goes to each of those qualities, then I want them to think about which one or more, 1 or 2, do they think they could really turn into an essay. With writing an essay, some of the tips that I have would be have it be unique and have it be a compelling real-life moment. The student is trying to reveal their personality to the college. It's also not what the student writes about, it's what they have to say about it. So this doesn't have to be where they traveled to a foreign country and helped build wells for clean drinking water for a village. This can be something as simple as maybe a summer job they had at Baskin-Robbins, and something that really shows a characteristic or quality about them as they tell their story. I suggest that it is written in a narrative style, that they stick to the first person, and that they use common language. This is not a time to be forcing in long, big SAT words. Write how they speak. You know, again, this goes back to the college, just they want to get an understanding of, you know, who this student is and how will they fit in at the college. And then this is obvious, but I think it's always important just to say it. Do not exceed the word count. They have a word count for a reason, so do not go over it by even one word. If anything, maybe be 2 or 3 words short. Okay, financial aid. So here I just have some websites that can provide information to you when you're looking at financial aid. So the first one is the net price calculator through College Board again. This is a great place to go because it will give you an estimate on what it would cost to attend a specific college, not college in general, but that specific college. It will show you, you know, how much it will cost. Then we have FAFSA. So this is for federal student aid. It is free to complete this application, and the results from this are used to determine grants, loans, work study that would be offered to a student. It's very important. Do not go to FAFSA.com. That is a scam website. You want FAFSA.gov. The next link is for CSS financial aid. And this is for non-federal financial aid. It costs money to set up a profile here and apply. And you would only want to do this if the college or the scholarship program tells you that you need to. So this may come up depending on what school your student is looking at. So just be aware that there is this whole other profile for financial aid. And then this last one here for scholarships. This is chegg.com. You sign up, you have to have a username, password, but they will send you a whole bunch of information on upcoming scholarships and what the scholarships are for, what the deadlines are, what you need to do to apply, a ton of information. So a really good place, I feel, to go to, you know, see what's out there, get a better understanding of scholarships. All right, resources. So you have a lot of resources at your disposal. So at the high school level, you have the guidance counselor. Every student is assigned to a guidance counselor, and they are there to help you and assist you and provide information. Most schools have a college and career center. Some are staffed by all volunteers. Some are staffed with people who, you know, it's a paid position. But again, they are there to assist your student as well, answering questions. A lot of times they'll have college books and reference materials that they can loan out. They'll have information on specific colleges. They're the ones that work with the admissions reps to have them come out and, you know, talk to students about their college. So right there, two places to go at the high school. And then websites. As you saw through this presentation, lots of websites, especially College Board, where you can go to get more information. And books, tons of books out there. Here are 3 books that I recommend. The first is the Fisk Guide to Colleges. It's very much like the website I mentioned earlier, the bigfuture.collegeboard.org. It provides information on lots and lots of colleges out there. It's a great guide, and you could probably find it at your school's College and Career Center if you don't want to purchase it. Another book I recommend is called College Admissions, and it takes you through the whole college process from application to acceptance. One of the authors here, Robin Momlet, she was the Dean of Admissions at Stanford, Sophomore, and Sarah Lawrence. So this is, I find, a great book, especially for parents. And then the last book here that I recommend is College Match, and I recommend this for students either sophomore or juniors because it's really a workbook. It asks lots of questions. starts getting the wheels turning in that student's head about what college may be the right college for them, what majors make sense. It really kind of helps kick off this whole process. So I think that is another really good reference if your student is, sophomore or junior year. And then, of course, if these top three, if you're still not getting the answers you need, the support you need, there are independent college counselors like myself out there, and we help in a whole variety of ways, everything from helping a student craft that list of colleges to figuring out what major they want, essay writing, everything from brainstorming to creating that rough draft to the final draft that gets sent off for their application. I will say with essay writing, though, at no time should counselor be writing the essay. It is the student's work. The counselor's just there to kind of help and guide. Also, application preparation. Some of these applications, like the Common App, there are so many different pieces. So sort of managing that process along the way to make sure that everything is completed and done on time. And then specialization. I do want to point this out because if your student falls into one of these categories, it may be worthwhile going down the route of an independent counselor. So if your student is involved in sports and they want to play at the college level, there are counselors that specialize in what needs to be done for applying and getting on to, that football team or lacrosse team or swim team. Then we have LD. So these are learning disabilities. If your child is diagnosed with a learning disability, there are counselors who specialize in this, and they know really good schools that support students with learning disabilities and what needs to be done to make sure that that student has a successful experience in college, military. So if ROTC is something that your student wants to do, there are counselors that focus on that. And then also, I didn't put here, but I'm going to throw out, would be visual and performing arts as well. So, that whole application process is very different. They have to create portfolios when they apply to these schools. So there are counselors that are very knowledgeable in this area as well that can help. And I think I am at my last slide, and we are. So again, my name is Kristen Hickman. I'm an independent college counselor. There is my email, which is collegetalk123@gmail.com. And Neelam mentioned earlier, there's also the other email, the college_advisor@arula.com. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you just need a quick piece of advice on something. I am more than happy to, answer that for you. And then also as a thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules today to attend this. I am offering a 25% off my hourly rate if anyone needs help with essays or assessments or application review, or a complimentary 60-minute meeting with you and your students to kind of go over college applications. So this is good for the next 60 days. And at this point, I'm going to turn this presentation back over to Neelam.
Thank you, Kristen. That was wonderful and very helpful. I mean, there's so many parts of it I really didn't know, though I keep on reading these articles the whole day long. So thank you for a wonderful presentation. All
You're
right,
welcome.
so I am going to look how I'm going to retain the control. Okay. Okay, and now here. All right. So can you see that slide?
I see water bottles.
You see a water bottle? Oh, okay. Means you're seeing that table? Okay.
Oh, I'm good. Yep.
Okay. Share my screen. Yeah. Are you able to see now?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right, so I wanted to take a few moments of your time to just kind of introduce you to what Arula is. Many of you know already, but some of you joined very recently. So just wanted to give you like a quick little walk around about what Arula is. So, as I mentioned, I started Arula just as a solution that I could solve my own problems, and hopefully I am able to solve other people's problems. And I think one of the biggest problems in our system and community today is in the parenting world. The parents need other parents so much. We are there. We always base our decisions based on other parents' recommendations. We find help and support from other parents. Yet it is so difficult to reach out to many of them. Either you don't have time, or you don't know, or it's just that the whole system is not set up to kind of provide that help and support that comes via sharing and collaboration. And so that's what I've tried to solve through Arula. So if you go to Arula, you will see that you can invite parents, and you can ask for recommendations. You can share information with them, and we are building, more tools into the system so that your life as a parent becomes much more easier. Of course, we can't solve all your problems, but we're trying our best to address some of those challenges. And it is built specifically for the parents. If you think that, hey, it is just like Facebook or something else, so let me tell you that Facebook has been around for so many years, but really I haven't seen anybody using Facebook that much specifically for the school-based communication. You would have also seen, if you have been with us for a longer time, you would also have seen that we are attempting to spread a lot of information out to parents. For example, this webinar, most of us are first-generation Americans, and we haven't gone through, at least I haven't gone through the K-12 system here. And for me to understand, it is almost like I have to do a PhD in education to really understand the processes here. And so this is my attempt to just address some of those little challenges that we face as a parent. So if you haven't had a chance, please go find your school, and then you can sign up and add your children. And as I said, we will be bringing more and more tools and information as we go about. And so that's about it. I just wanted to open up this session for Q&A. So we have a few questions in the chat window, and then I will read it out, and Kristen will answer those questions. All right? So let's see. Let me get my chat window here up and expand it. No, I can't expand. Okay. So okay, well, the first question was, will there be, will this presentation be shared on Arula? So yes, it will be shared on all your community walls so that you can review it with your child or see it yourself. As I mentioned, it will take us maybe a few days or at least a week to put the recording together, all right? So yes, the presentation and the recording of this will be available for all the Arula members. Next question was, Kristen, this is for you. Are both SAT and ACT needed for CSU/UC system?
No, both are not needed. The student could certainly take SAT and ACT, but they would only need to submit a score for one of those tests.
Okay, cool. Next two questions are from me. I'm going to skip that for now. Just make sure everybody else's questions get answered first. So the next question from Anita is, does the extracurriculars include something outside the school?
Yes, so extracurricular can be maybe they're volunteering at the local hospital or they're working in a soup kitchen. So yes, extracurricular can be at school or outside of school.
Okay. Next question from Anita again. If a student takes both ACT and SAT, which test would be considered by the university? That's a good question.
That is a good question. So it's up to the student to decide which test score they want to submit. So the student will decide. And I can't say one is better than the other. I would say if they take both and they have a higher score on the SAT than the ACT, I would submit the SAT.
Can the student submit both the scores?
They could. They could submit both if they want.
Okay, and then it's up to the college how they consider it?
Right. Then they'll look at both. They'll take both into consideration.
Okay. All right. Next question was, is it new SAT 1600? I think the score,
I want to say is, I think that's the PSAT. I believe.
No, I think even the new SAT is 1600. Yeah, the one that is going to be introduced in March. Yeah, it's going to be 1600.
Yeah, it hasn't. Right, it hasn't come out yet. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think those are the questions. I had a couple of questions of my own, and if nobody has further questions, I'll go and ask them. If you're still listening and you have questions, please type them in the chat window. All right, so my question to you was, how many extracurriculars are a good number to show on a college application? I know too many are not good, but then is it 1, 2?
Right, is there a perfect number? So, I mean, I would say there's no magic number, and I think it does depend on each individual student, looking at their course load. I would say, a few, like 3, if you could, try and balance it out. But it really depends. If there's something that they do that maybe only occurs once a year, and then there's something else like they're on the tennis team, and that takes up almost, the whole school year. But at least a few. You want to show some variety, I think, is good. It gives a good, well-rounded balance.
Cool. All right. So I have one more question, and I think that's the last question, is what should one look in a college tour when they go? Is there particular something that specific questions should we be asking? Should we be observing? Can you guide us in that?
Sure. So one of the reasons I think it's important for a student to go on this college tour is I think they really get a feeling if this is where they can see themselves or not. It's sort of like that gut reaction. I've had students that there's a certain school they really want to go to. They get there, they get out of the car, and it just hits them that, oh, wow, I do not want to be here. This is not the school for me. As far as what to ask, it would be, what's important to them. Maybe they absolutely love playing ultimate frisbee. Well, is there an intramural team? Maybe they really, food's important to them, or class size. So just things of that nature. I think it's really dependent on each student and what they want to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. I have one more question from Mala. She's asking, does the 3 years requirement for foreign language include foreign language taken in middle school?
No, this is high school. And so it's 2 years. I believe it's 2 years required, 3 years is recommended. So it's at the high school level.
Okay. So if I'll ask a follow-up question is, if let's say that my child has taken 2 years of Spanish in middle school and now they go to high school, it means it is mandatory for that they to take the 2 years of Spanish in high school as well, right?
Correct. So, right. And that might not be first year Spanish. Maybe they would start out in, second year Spanish.
Yeah, they will start at a higher level, right. Level 3, level something like that. Okay. Perfect.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. I think that's all we have in the chat window, and we are almost close to the top of the hour. So thank you so much again for joining us. We are almost close to the webinar. I just have one more thing to share with you guys, and that is the prize, right? So we wanted to pick up a winner from the Facebook entry that you guys made, but not everybody had joined at that point of time. So I'm going to give it maybe another few seconds for you guys to do that again. Let me go back to the slide. And so rest of you who didn't get to this, what we did while we were waiting is we asked the attendants or participants to go to our Facebook page. It's you can search for Orula, or you can just copy paste the URL from the chat window and go to Facebook page, like our page, and comment on there saying attended already. So we are going to pick up one winner from there. all right? And we have some really exciting prize for you guys. So I'll just give it maybe another 10, 20 seconds for this activity, and then meanwhile, I'll look at the winners and pick one. I'll just close my eyes and pick one. All right, so I think I have picked up our winner. Unfortunately, there haven't been too many, but then let's say it's Mala Bala. All right, so our winner today is Mala, and what Mala is gonna get is this book, and it's completely coincidental that I picked up this book, and this was in the list of that Kristen mentioned in a list of books, right? One of the recommended books for Kristen. So I'm happy I made the right choice. So Mala, you're going to get this book on college admission from application to acceptance by Robin Mamlet and Christine Vanderbilt. So I will get in touch with you to get more information, and then we'll mail this out in a couple of days. All right? Okay, congratulations, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We'll see you again, hopefully in a few weeks, when we have more things, probably more such webinars lined up for you. All right? So have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.